calculator chart here. Let's start a new one and let's call it stock yield, okay? I don't want to type it up there. Let's go up here. There we go. All right, so stock yield. Let's get rid of this. I don't need that. Let's do a little reading. For 2007, the annual earnings for Patterson's Manufacturing were $1,200,000. The corporation had 1,221,000 shares of common stock outstanding and pays an annual dividend of $87 cents per share. The closing price for a share of common stock was $33 last night. Calculate the following. Round all the answers to 2 decimal places if necessary. Step 1, what is the current yield? Let's look. Next slide. Current yield is the annual dividend per share divided by the closing price of a share of a common stock. The annual dividend per share. What was that, everybody? The annual dividend per share was 87 cents, all right? So the current yield is 87 cents. Let's put that right in here. 0.87, right? That's 87 cents divided by the closing price of the share of the stock. What was the closing price? The closing price was $33. All right, so 87 cents divided by 33. That is, it says 2 decimal places. Current yield, 2 decimal places is 0.03. All right, that's 3%, right? 0.03, 3%. All right, let's write it right over here. Equals 0.87 divided by 33 equals 0.03, rounded to 2 decimal places. All right, earnings per share equals the annual earnings divided by the shares outstanding. All right, let's go back up here. Next calculation. All right. It says we have, the corporation has 1,221,000 shares of stock outstanding. So annual earnings were 1,200,000. Okay, so right here, 1,200,000. All right, divided by 1,221,000. All right, that gives us our earnings per share. Let's write that down. So earnings per share is the annual earnings were 1.2 million. The shares outstanding were 1.221 million. All right, so that is the earnings per share. That is 98 cents per share. All right, good. All right, price earnings ratio. PE, the price per earnings ratio, closing price divided by the earnings per share. All right, what was the closing price? The closing price of the stock was $33 last night. Closing price of the stock was $33. All right, divided by the earnings per share is what we just calculated, was divided by 0.98. That is, price per earnings ratio is 33.67. All right, equals 33.67. Once again, that's the closing price per share divided by the earnings per share. earnings per share, we just did in step 2. That's the earnings per share. So the price per earnings ratio, the price earnings ratio is 33.67. All right, very good, everybody. We saved our calculations. Let's save this. Let's go to the next question. All right, let's clear this out. Here we go. All right, stock dividends, number 19. Let's make a new graph for ourselves. All right, let's call this one stock dividends. All right, let's clear these out. All right, so on November 15, 2017, the Board of Directors of Cheese Crackers Bakery voted to distribute 2,520,000 shares to the firm's stockholders, or dollars, not shares. If the firm has issued 100,000 shares of 5% preferred stock with a par value of $50 and 2,090,000 shares of common stock outstanding, calculate the value, round all answers to the nearest cent. So I want to calculate the dividends per share of preferred stock. All right, dividends per share of preferred stock equals the par value times the dividend rate. All right, let's jump into our calculator over here. Step 1, the par value times the dividend rate. All right, what's the par value? With a par value of $50. So that's par value of $50. And what does it say? What's the next part? Times the dividend rate. All right, what's it say appears the dividend rate? %, right? 5%. So that is a rate of 5%. So times 0.05, that is 2.5. All right, so this is 2.5. Next, calculate the total paid to preferred stockholders. That is, the total dividend paid is the preferred dividend per share, that's 250, times number of preferred stocks. All right. So that is 2.5 times the number of preferred stocks. How many preferred stocks do they have? They have 100,000 shares times 100,000. So that is $250,000. All right. Total dividends paid is $250,000. All right. So what do we do? First of all, we calculated the dividend share per preferred stock. We found that to be the par value times the dividend rate. That's $50 times 0.05. That's 2.5. Next, we multiplied that times the number of preferred stocks. That tells us they are going to give $250,000 to the preferred stock shareholders, right? That's what it tells us. All right, next we want to calculate the dividend per share of common stock. Okay, so what do we do here? Oh, let's clear this out. Our calculations are right here, right? We saved them right here in the calculator. We want to calculate the dollar amount available for common stock. All right, so what's the dollar amount available? That is the total amount available to both preferred and common stock minus the 250,000 to the preferred stock. So go right back up here. How much was available? 2,520,000, right? So 2520000 minus 250,000 to preferred leaves us with 2,270,000. Okay, so right here, we want to write in this number we just calculated. That is 2,270,000. This is the amount available to the common stockholder. All right. Dividend per share of common stock equals the dollar amount available, what we just calculated, divided by the shares of common stock. All right. How many shares of common stock did they have? Let's go back up here. Shares of common stock. Don't worry about the two. We got it written down over here, right? Don't worry about the 2270. All right. There are 2,090,000 shares of common stock. So we want to find the dollar amount available, which is 2,270,000 divided by the number of shares, which was 2,090,000. So the dividend per share of common stock is $1.09. Okay. This is $1.09. The total amount available here was the value 2,270,000. Okay. That's the amount that's available to the common stockholders because the preferred stock got theirs first. They had a 5% return. All right, so that is that, everybody. We have just completed question number 19. All right, very good. Let's make sure we save this. All right, let's clear everything out here with our drawings. Let's keep going. All right, question number 21 is probabilities and the complement. So let's make a new graph. Probabilities and complement. All right. Just in case you guys are curious, right? Notice here, if I go back to this again, all the things I just used, right? Stock dividends, stock yield, expected value, finding time, writing equations. All those are right there. Okay. So coming back now. 10 balls numbered from 1 to 10 are placed in a bag. Some are gray, some are white. The balls are numbered 1, 3, 5, 7, 8, 9, and 10 are all gray. The balls numbered 2, 4, 6 are white. A ball is selected at random. Let X be the event that the selected ball is white. Let P of X be the probability of X. Let not X be the event that the ball selected is not white, and let not X be the probability of not X. All right, let's go to the next one. All right. So X is the probability that the ball is what? Let's go back up here. X is the probability the ball selected is white. X is the event that the selected ball is white. Okay. So let's do our work here. Grab my pencil once again. You guys do it with me, okay? This is white. This is white. This is white. All right. How many white balls are there? 3, right? 3. Out of how many are there total? 10, right? That is a decimal of 0.30. All right. So next, not X is that it's not white. right? Not white means it's gray. So it's this one, this one, this one, right? How many of them are not white? There are 7 of them that are not white. What's the probability? It is 0.70. All right. So we have checked out the events. That is, X is white. That's 2, 4, 6. There are 3 of those. The total number of die is 10. That's 3/10, which is 0.3. Not X is gray. So there are 7 of those, 7/10 or 0.7. We don't even need a calculator for this, do we, guys? All right, select 1 minus P of X. All right, 1 minus P of X. So 1 minus P of X equals 1 minus 3/10, right? Which is 7/10, which equals 0.7. So select the answer that makes the sentence true. 1 minus P of X is the same as P of not X, right, everybody? 1 minus P of X is the same thing as P of not X. I use a line over the top to mean not, okay? That's what I use. So 1 minus P of X is exactly the same thing as P of not X. Good. Good job, everybody. All right, let's keep going. We're doing great. We didn't even need a calculator for that, did we? All right, the probabilities involving 2 rolls of a die. We want decimal answers. This is question number 24 in your homework. An ordinary fair die is a cube with the numbers 1 through 6 on the sides represented by painted spots. Imagine that such a die is rolled twice in succession and the face value of the 2 dies are added together. The sum is recorded as the outcome of a single trial of a random experiment. Compute the probability of each of the following events. 1, event A, the sum is greater than 7. Event B, the sum is divisible by 3. Round your answer to the 2 decimal places. Okay, everybody, in order for us to do this, we need to make ourselves a table, okay? The table is the 2 rolls of the die, okay? So let's do this. You guys ready? So here's our table. Let's get ourselves a little bit different color pen here. Let's use blue this time, shall we? Let's do it. So in 2 rolls of a die, the first roll of my die could be 1, 1, right, everybody? I could roll a 1 and a 1, 1 and a 2, 1 and a 3, 1 and a 4, 1 and a 5, 1 and a 6. What am I saying here? I'm saying that I could roll a 1 on the first die every single time, and I could roll a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, or 6 on the second die. All right, that's what I could do. All right, the second time around, let's use a 2. I could roll a 2 on the first die, a 1 on the second, a 2 and a 2, 2 and a 3, 2 and a 4. You guys with me? 2 and a 5, 2 and a 6. Well, let's keep going. We're doing great. I could roll a 3 and a 1, 3 and a 2, 3 and a 3, 3 and a 4, 3 and a 5, 3 and a 6. You guys doing great? 4 and a 1, 4 and a 2, 4 and a 3, 4 and a 4, 4 and a 5, 4 and a 6. We are doing good here. 5 and a 1, 5 and a 2, 5 and a 3, 5 and a 4, oops, 5 and a 5, and 5 and a 6. I need one more row, right, everybody? I could roll a 6 on the first one and a 1 on the second one. I could roll a 6 and a 2, a 6 and a 3, a 6 and a 4, a 6 and a 5, and a 6 and a 6, right? And those are all the possibilities that I have. I do have an errant mark here. I got to get rid of this guy, right? This little mark here. There we go. All right. Now let's change our die color, our pen marker here, okay? We got to get a different color. What are we talking about now, everybody? It said we want to find the probability of what? Let's go back. Find the probability that the sum is greater than 7, all right? All right, everybody, greater than 7. Where are the dice whose sums equal 7? Let's start right there, okay? Sums equal 7. That is right here. 6 and 1, 5 and 2, 4 and 3, 3 and 4, 2 and 5, 1 and 6, right? That diagonal, all those add up to 7. 6 and 1, 5 and 2, every single one. All right, so the die that I'm looking at that are greater than 7, right? Greater than 7 have to be these right here. All of these, all right? In this section right here. All of these have a sum greater than 7. All of this whole set, right? All of them. Well, you ask, how many are there all total? How many possible outcomes do I have? Well, the possible number of outcomes is 6 squared, which is 36. 6 across, 6 down. That's 6 by 6, which is 6 squared is 36. How many of them are greater than 7? The sum is greater than 7. Well, there are 1, 2, 3, 4. You can count them with me, right? How many are there? Right? How many are there total? So what I'm doing here is P of the sum greater than 7. Oh, not 5, 7. Sum greater than 7. This is a greater than right here. Greater than. All right. So I want P of 8 plus P of 9 plus P of 10 plus P of 11 plus P of 12. All right, let's work our way backwards. How many are there with 12? 1. How many are there with 11? 2. How many are there with 10? 3. How many are there with 9? 4. How many are there with 8? 5. How many is that? 5 plus 4 is 9 plus what? What do I got going on here? 9, 10, 15, right? Total is 15. All right, now the numerator is 15, the denominator is 36. So P of the sum that's greater than 7 equals 15 divided by 36. Why? Because there are 36 total possible outcomes, and there are 15 that are greater than 7. The sum is greater than 7. Which means there are also 15 that have a sum less than 7. 15 and 15 is 30. There are 6 that have a sum of 7. All right, so this 30 plus 6 is 36, which is the total. All right, excellent. Good job. Now, what was the next question? Next question said, the sum is divisible by 3. All right, so first of all, I want this in 2 decimal places. So I'm going to use my calculator here, okay? Right here. 15 divided by 36 is 0.42, rounded to 2 decimal places. All right, equals 0.42. All right, next one. P of the sum is divisible by 3. All right, divisible by 3. That would have to be what? All right, let's take a look. 3 is divisible by 3, right? Where does it add up to 3? The sum of 3. Right here. All right, there are 2 of those. What else? 3, 4, 5, 6, right? That's right here. All right. So this is the 3s. These are the 6s. 7 is not divisible by 3. 8 is not divisible by 3. 9 is divisible by 3. That's these. Right? That's the 9s. Not the number of them, the sum of them. 3 is the sum, 6 is the sum, 9 is the sum. All right, 10 won't, right? 11 is not divisible by 3. 12 is divisible by 3. Okay, so how many are there? We know there are a total of 36 possible outcomes. How many of them are 3s? There are 2. How many of them are 6s? There are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 6s. All right, that's 5. Plus, how many of them are 9s? That's 1, 2, 3, 4. So that's 4. Plus, how many of them are 12s? 1. That is something over 36, right? Everybody, what is it? 2 and 4. Let's add them more simply, right? 5 and 4 is 9, and 1 is 10, and 2 more is 12. That is 12 out of 36. 12 out of 36. Let's do that in our calculator, okay? Whoops, gotta get my mouse back here. There we go. I'm just gonna do right here in the same exact one, okay? Let's divide this. This is 12, which is 0.33. So if I round it to 2 decimal places, it's 0.33 equals 0.33, and I'm good to go. There's my answer, 0.33. There's my answer for the first one, 0.42. We are good to go, everybody. That was almost fun. All right, very good, guys. We are doing super here. Let's clear all this out. Let's keep going. All right, converting between probability and odds. All right, so I'm going to make a new, I'm going to save this and make a new called probabilities and odds. All right, probabilities and odds. Let's do it. It says a child has a box full of colored building blocks. If he chooses one block without looking, the probability of choosing a green block is 6/17. What are the odds against a child choosing a green block? All right, you know, we have odds. There are 2 types of odds: odds in favor and odds against. All right, so odds in favor of an event. Odds in favor of an event is equal to the probability of the event occurring divided by the probability of the event not occurring. All right. So the probability of the event occurs divided by the probability that the event does not occur. All right. Some people use exclamation point here. So I could also write this All right, let's go back here just a second. Some people write the complement of X to be X apostrophe. So I could also do this, all right? Sometimes you see this X apostrophe, that means not X, all right? So odds in favor are P of X and P of not X, the complement of X. So what are odds against? Odds against, okay, are equal to the complement P of not X divided by P of X. You can also put the line over top of it as well. Either way, okay? Either way is fine, just so long as you know it's not, okay? It's not X, the complement. All right. So over here we want to find the odds against. So the probability that the child draws a green block is in the denominator, that is 6/17. What's the probability they do not draw a green block? That is 1 minus 6/17, which is what? That would be what? 11/17 over 6/17, which is 11 over 17 times 17 over 6, which is 11/6. And it says, okay, leave it as is, 11/6. Okay. All right, so let's put this in our calculator. All right, everybody. I'm going to take 11, whoops. I'm going to start right from the very beginning, okay? So I'm going to open my parentheses, 1 minus 6 divided by 17, all right? Close my parentheses, divided by 6/17. All right, so once again, what am I doing here? I'm taking the probability that it will not happen, in other words, the probability of the complement that it will not happen, divided by the probability that it will happen. So it comes out to be 1/8. Okay, I want this as a fraction. Let's see this. Click it as a fraction, and there it is, 11/6. So let's save this. All right, so the first answer is 11/6. That's the answer to the first one. So let's clear all this out. Let's get our pen here again. This is 11/6, which equals 11/6. Or you could write 11/6, right? Those are all the same thing. All right. Michael is playing a role-playing game with his friends. He will roll dice to determine if his character casts a spell. The odds in favor of his character casting a spell are 11/8. Find the probability of his character casting a spell. All right, first of all, everybody, remember what we just had on the board a moment ago. The odds in favor, okay? Odds in favor equal the probability of the event occurring divided by the probability of the event not occurring. In other words, that's the probability of the complement, right? Okay. So in this case, it tells me that the odds in favor of his character casting a spell are 11/8. Odds in favor are 11/8. What is the probability of his character casting a spell? All right, this is what we're looking at. But there's a better way to do this, everybody. Okay, notice And the question we just did right up here a moment ago, watch this, everybody. This was 11 over 17 divided by 6 over 17. Notice what canceled out. Notice the 11 plus 6 is the sum of the denominator, right, everybody? So if the sum of the two is the denominator of the probability, that tells me then that my probability right here, the odds in favor, the probability is in the numerator, right? So that is 11. So the answer is 11 over 11 plus 8. And this denominator then would be what? 8 over 11 plus 8. So this is what I'm looking for right here. This is my probability, which is 11 over 19. All right. So all right, if this is A over B, then this answer is okay. If A over B equals 11 over 8, that's the odds, then the probability is equal to P of A. Probability of that event is 11 over 11 plus 8, which is 11 over 19, which is the same thing as A over A plus B. Okay, good job. And we have done it, everybody. All right, so the final answer over here is the probability is 11/19. Okay, we have done it. That comes to the end of question number 25 that I'm working on. That concludes this lesson in topic 5. Thank you all for having some fun with me and jumping in here. Take care and have a great day. Bye-bye all.